Yo, welcome back. Jordan here. And before we get into today's episode, which I'm going to share with you how to do or make less dumb decisions and make more smart decisions, and really why that's so fucking important. But first, I want to address the elephant in the room. I am, in fact, wearing a stringer tee or stringer tank top. And I saw this debate the other day on Instagram with girls basically saying that stringers are dead and they hate stringers. And I just, first of all, think that's fucking stupid for two reasons. Number one, stringers are not dead. They're awesome. They always will be awesome. They've been awesome since the 80s. And things in the 80s, they don't go out of style. But the reason number two is that we don't wear stringers for chicks, right? Well, some of us do, but it doesn't matter. We wear stringers for other guys, right? Because we want other guys to be like, damn, that dude's jacked. The same reason most guys end up putting on an absorbent or just ridiculous amounts of muscle, even though we know most chicks don't even like that. It's because we're all kind of gay and we want dudes to like it. So anyways, just wanted to clarify that. If you're watching on video on YouTube, stringers are awesome. Let's bring them back. Let's make sure they never go out of style. I digress. So remember, listen, running a business is not supposed to be easy. Okay. I don't know who told you this, but they lied to you. You were lied to. And sometimes we almost act surprised when shit ends up getting hard, right? Because we have some weird expectation like, oh my gosh, how could something possibly go astray or not go as planned? And then what we do is we get emotional, and then we get emotional, we do stupid shit, making life and business even harder. It's almost like your business will get a flat tire at some point, right? Probably multiple flat tires. Well, instead of just pulling over to the side of the road, getting out, looking at the car, diagnosing the issue and thinking, oh, the tire's flat. Why don't I just fix that tire? We end up freaking out and running the car off of a cliff. Now we have much bigger problems on our hands, right? If we're even alive. So don't wish for business to be easier. Wish for you to be better, okay? Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. And finally, don't wish for less challenges. Wish for more wisdom, okay? Why do you want more wisdom? Well, the more wisdom that you have, the better you will be at making decisions. So decision-making is really like a superpower for an entrepreneur. Oftentimes, we might see competitors who are further along than us, and we get feelings about that, right? Like, I should be further along. And really, they're ahead of you for two reasons. And it's not because they have some magic fucking fairy trick or some secret strategy or anything. It's simply because, number one, they've been doing whatever you're doing probably longer than you, and they've probably gotten more help along the way, right? More coaching, mentorship, guidance. So they've accumulated more knowledge and skills. But secondly, is that they realize that what you're doing is everything. Meaning, you've probably heard the quote, if it's worth doing well. Hermosi just posted a video about this recently, and it reminded me of the importance of this. It's not just about like, hey, give it your all no matter what you do. That's part of it, but it's more so if it's worth doing, meaning what are you actually working on is so important. Working on the right things, making the right decisions to know what to actually work on. The reason is we have limited time and bandwidth and energy. So we need to be ruthless with the things that we choose to do and be really good at saying no and eliminating all the other stupid distractions that don't contribute to the outcome that we're going for. All right. So as I'm recording this, or why I'm recording this, is because I started thinking the other day about how I first got started in online fitness coaching, especially because I came from a different business background, like the old school days, right? Print advertising, websites, like you need an LLC. And so I kind of took that old, antiquated approach, and I was like, oh, well, I know how to build a business. I've done this. I mean, not super well, but I've at least had a little success. And I started to do all the things, right? Making terrible decisions, building a website, creating multiple offers and tiers with different price points. I even started to develop an app, which, Jesus Christ, was a terrible decision. I would spend all my time or too much time focused on growing my Instagram. Or I would just create all of this content that was like, man, it was exhausting. It was like such in-depth, science-based, like, look how smart I am content. When really all I was doing was like maybe impressing other coaches. I was like way over the head of anybody I was going to help. And I did this for an entire year. And at the end of that year, I went from $0 to $3,500 a month. And frankly, those were mostly referrals. So it wasn't until I realized that business is like a train, okay? And most of us, we make the wrong decision to focus on polishing up that train before that train is even moving, right? So who cares how shiny that train is if it's not even taking passengers or cargo from point A to point B? What's it matter? So when I hired my first mentor, we shifted my focus solely around developing an optimal selling strategy, okay? Focusing on sales, because sales is like fuel for the train. So when I learned the importance of an optimal selling strategy, meaning how do I actually get people to purchase my stuff in the simplest path, the simplest way, and the provable way, the way that's been proven to work rather than just my own assumptions. I went from $3,500 a month to $15,000 months in 60 days, right? Then Aaron and I ended up partnering up and teaming up. We built T4E systems to $120,000 months, $150,000 months, eventually selling that company, right? Because we focused on selling first to get that train moving. So that's number one. One of the worst decisions that we make is just emotional-based decisions on what to actually focus on in our business. We think about our own assumptions, or we look at what other people are doing and we assume we know what they're actually focused on, which is usually not the case. Or we see people who we think are crushing it, right? They have these big Instagrams, whatever else. The majority of them are broke. I'm telling you right now, I know most of them. A lot of them have come and we've helped them, and the majority of them are not making money. It's usually the dude or the girl who has 3,000 followers who's making $100,000 months that you would never know because they're focused on the right things. So remember, an emotional decision is a bad decision always. As you grow, you have to learn to become less emotionally reactive. We have to make logical-based decisions. More logical-based decisions win. Emotional-based decisions lose. A good example of this would be hey, I have this client who's upset and they think that, this wasn't good and I need to add X, Y, Z or stop doing Y, they're pissed off about this or whatever. And an emotional owner would automatically think, oh my gosh, okay, I need to get wildly distracted. I need to change my whole fulfillment and business model. I need to develop an onboarding course. I need to change all my documents and redo everything because this one person's upset. Whereas a logical-based business owner would say, well, okay, they would listen to the feedback and they'd be really receptive and they would rectify it. But they would say, well, my refund rate is 3%. Okay, the industry average is 10%. Doing fine there. Based on client feedback, I use feedback forms and NPS scores. My program is rated an 8.5 out of 10. Okay, that's really good. Also, my monthly retention is 94%. Well, I know that the baseline is 90%, so I'm above average there, and 60% of people re-sign with me for my back-end program, where 30% is the baseline. Okay, nothing is broken. I do not need to get distracted here, do not need to get diverted. Because a lot of times we have to recognize when there's a problem that arises, is this a problem that needs to be solved right now? Can it be solved right now? Is it a bleeding issue? Or is it a dichotomy to be managed? We're never going to have a perfect client experience for every single client. It's impossible. Or, whatever the case is, you got to discern between the two. Do I need to focus on this right now? Or can I make slow improvements to it and tweak it here and there, but I'm not going to distract myself right now, right? Example 2 could be should I start running challenges or, build a Facebook group or whatever, or running ads? And it's maybe, but what problem are you solving? Well, maybe it's that you're not getting leads. It's okay, well, here's the question I would ask. Depending on where you're at in your business, let's say you're under 10K months or 15K months, I'd be look, who have you spoken to today? Oh, and then you'd be well, I've posted 2 reels and, I need to know how to make even better content. I'm all right, well, have you actually spoken to anybody today? How many conversations have you had with people? Oh, and then they'd respond well, I think I need to do ads. I think I need to do a Facebook group. I think I need to do challenges. Okay, maybe you just need to have more real conversations with actual humans, because no matter what you're doing, if you build a group or you run out or whatever, you still need to talk to people. Okay. Long gone are the days where you can just post content and people, apply in the link in your bio. Those days are long gone, right? The people who are going to win are those who know how to actually be human and have conversations with people and have good follow-up and actually give a shit. So do you think it would be easier to just have more conversations with people to get them into your program, or go launch all these new systems and strategies where you're still going to have to do that anyways? Yeah, obviously, right? So finally, I want to wrap up with 3 tips to making better decisions. Number 1, just making sure you're well slept, food, energy. Erin always jokes that if she catches herself becoming a little more emotionally reactive, she asks herself, well, where am I at in my cycle? Oh, I'm getting ready to start my period. Okay, that's probably an indicator that I don't need to act on this right now. Or maybe you have other things going on in your life that are causing you excess stress, making this little problem over here seem even louder. You need to identify those things and step away from it. You don't have to make a decision today, all right? So where's your sleep at? Where are you at with food? Are you hungry? I know when I'm hungry, I make bad decisions because I'm hangry, right? And where are you at with your energy? Those are very important metrics. And if any of those things are off, don't make the decision in that state. Number 2 is triangulate. Triangulate means, think of a triangle. You're maybe bottom right, you need to have at least 2 other people who have actually done the thing that you're trying to do or whose input actually matters. Don't just ask like Joe Blow, who's never built a fitness business, what you should do. But let's say, like, here's an example. I wanted to build a supplement company at one point, and this is when our fitness business was doing $120K a month. IFCA was doing like $3 million a year. And I met with a mentor at that time. It was Alex Hermosi, and I told him I wanted to start a supplement company. And this, keep in mind, they built a very successful supplement company on top of Gym Launch. He told me not to do it. He's like, look, even though that company was successful, if I would have just stayed focused on my core business, I'd be so much further along. It wasn't worth the distraction and the headache. Like, cool. That advice right there saved, I paid like $700,000 for that advice amongst other things, but saved us millions of dollars, right? So before I execute anything, I run it by Aaron, often Travis, who's on our team, like a director on our team, and I'll bring it to a mentor, right? I'll bring it to a call and I'll just ask what they think. And then that gives me like 2 or 3 other data points of input that then I can decide, right? But I'm not making the decision on my own. So anyways, hopefully this was useful. I want to just hopefully save you from making less dumb decisions and make more smart ones, because when you do that, life is a lot better. So anyways, hope you guys found this useful, and I'll see you on the next one.